create new and different constituencies, and avoid creating unnecessary enemies. Create new and different constituencies and avoid creating unnecessary enemies. Here's what I mean by that. Many times we have something that we know is a really good idea, and we have a group of people that is really solidly behind it, and so we could move forward with the idea. What I always suggest is take one step back before you really get out there, and that's the only thing you're pushing. And see if you can look at it from different angles, and maybe even ask the question, if I do this slightly differently, is there any way for me to build more support for it? The example I like to use is the Long Center for the Performing Arts in Austin. That was a long process that was focused on building a new performing arts center for our city. But before it was over, we had to have an election, because what many people don't remember is the city of Austin was going to put up what was known as the old Palmer Auditorium. It was going to be redone in a public-private partnership that would allow the private community to raise tens of millions of dollars to redo that building and turn it into a world-class performing arts center. The issue that we had to face, though, was that in order for us to do that, because the Palmer Event Center sat on parkland and still does, we had to have an election. So we wanted to build new and different constituencies. And one of the things that we looked at was, how can people are currently using Palmer, but at that, Palmer had gotten a little dilapidated. It had gotten a little worn down, and not a whole lot of money had been put into keeping it up. So the idea was, what would happen if we took some additional money, and we took that and we built a whole new community event center? Well, now we have different groups, maybe some groups that weren't that supportive of just having a new performing arts center, that they wanted that new community event center. So all of a sudden they're in favor of this. And of course, we now have Butler Park down there, but many people will remember it was basically just asphalt. It was a big old parking lot. So the idea that we had was, what if we took some additional money and turned that into a great downtown urban park? Well, now we have a new constituency that's really in favor of a performing arts center. So it passed. And of course now people know that what we have is, we have a world-class performing arts center, a really wonderful community event center, and one of the great urban parks in the country. So we built new and different constituencies around one idea that had solid support. In addition, don't create unnecessary enemies. And what I mean by that is that often we've grown accustomed, particularly in the political climate of today, of doing our business in such a way where really we get one shot at somebody. If they disagree with us, we beat them up real badly, and then we'll never have them agree with us again. One of the things I like about the Texas Senate, for example, is we have a thing in the Texas Senate that's called the 2/3 rule. And what it means is that there's 31 members of the Senate, but 2/3 of us have to agree to bring up any bill where it can't be brought up. What that does is it creates a situation where we conduct our debate in such a way that we know we're always going to need, or we may always need, that person on the next vote. So we don't get ourselves in situations where we're creating unnecessary enemies, because we may need that person tomorrow. We don't want to just whip them today, because we may need them tomorrow. So the rule is, create new and different constituencies, and don't create unnecessary enemies in the way you conduct your business.